I'm seeing a lot of materialistic approaches to music, but not one that is very intellectual. There's a stigma, as we all know, attached to the Kuti family. They look at Fela, and what they focus on is smoke and women. When I went into my high school, the people would ask me, do you smoke? I say, no, I don't smoke. But do you believe me? I don't know if anyone believes that I don't smoke. Hello, my name is Omorinmade Kuti, and you're live on the Net NG. Growing up as a Kuti, I think it's different for every Kuti. So specifically, growing up as Femi Kuti's son is growing up in the shrine, which means growing up around music, growing up around musicians, growing up around a mentality that forces you to challenge a lot of normal concepts. So if you walk into the shrine, one of the posters you see just behind the stage, you have Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Femi Kuti, Kwame Nkrumah, Lumumba, and Marcus Garvey. So your question is, who are these people? Then you learn about them, you read Black history, you read more about Black history and Black consciousness. What does it mean to be Black? Why are Black people the way they are today? And that's what I mean. So you think in a certain way if you grow up in the shrine, and you have so many talented musicians around you that if you have access to them and you don't tap into that knowledge, then you fail. So I don't think his issue wasn't the fame or being in the public domain. I think what he always made sure was that I'd get a good education. I didn't like high school. I felt a lot of things were a waste of time because I knew what I wanted. And it didn't offer me what I wanted. So in secondary school, I wanted to learn history. History wasn't a subject. I wanted to learn music. They didn't teach music. So I felt like the things I was most passionate about, I didn't have access to. And then there's a whole thing about ties. I hate ties. I feel it's especially in Nigeria, it's hot. It's very hot. It gets up to like 35 degrees. So to say that the idea that 10 to 15-year-olds have to wear these ties in this hot weather and then put it up to their neck and suffocate. Everything was so, and then there was if you didn't sing and pray in the morning, then you were punished. So the ideology was also very different for me. But at the end of the day, I wanted to leave, but he made sure that I went through high school because my goal was eventually to get into university. Because I knew in university, I would meet certain kinds of people and certain kinds of musicians that would completely change my perspective. And that's what happened. I did the Bachelor's in Music, BMUS, composition. So I did composition. And what it was like, to get into the university was difficult because they're very exclusive. So I applied to many. It's called a conservatoire because it does like conservative classical music. So it's conservative in their teaching methods and their approach to music. But this particular one, Trinity, the one that Fela went to, is very progressive. So they have a lot of forward-thinking staff members, which is very good. Which is why I think that I was accepted, because they thought, grandson of Fela, son of Femi Kuti, where is he going to take this Afrobeat music in a classical setting? So that was my goal for my 4 years in Trinity. The best experience, I think, was meeting all the other musicians. You don't realize just how high the skill levels are until you go to an institution like that. It blows your mind, man. The pianist is not a pianist. It's one of the best pianists. The saxophonist is amazing. Everybody is top class. So it really challenges you to be a very conscious musician. So me that I'm claiming I'm a multi-instrumentalist, I know how hard I have to work. So what? I have to pick up the bass, the sax, the piano, the trumpet, everything every day. Because if I want to match that standard, it's going to be very difficult. So it made me more aware of how hard musicians are working. No. Fela was known, but not by as many people as you'd think. So there's the jazz department and there's the classical department. In the jazz department, everyone knew him. Everyone I knew him. The head of my department was a fan of Fela, the composition department. And then you have a few people in my course that knew him. But all in all, I don't think the school itself gave him as much credit as I think they should have. There was this guy that came to give us a talk. He said when he walked into Trinity, he expected there to be a statue of Fela somewhere. But there's nothing, no picture. I don't know. But they're conscious of the fact that he graduated there. Because I met a few students that said they came there because Fela went through. No. In Nigeria I did, not in London.
I would like to get that Nigerian story.
No, in Nigeria, people are very, there's a stigma, as we all know, attached to the Kuti family. And it's been getting better over the years. I know. Yeah, I mean, when my dad was younger, and when he was even getting together with my mom, there's a whole, do not go to the Kuti, do not approach the Kuti family because of their bad character. So they look at Fela, and what they focus on is smoke and women. So my dad, for instance, the stories are he couldn't visit his friends because he'd get kicked out of their house. And when I went into Trinity, when I went into my high school, it was quite similar, but it wasn't as bad. So people would ask me, do you smoke? I say, no, I don't smoke. But do you believe me? I don't know if anyone believes I don't smoke. So they expect me to have a certain character. I can't blame them. What I blame is the bad portrayal of the family by whoever is talking about us, whoever presents us in that way. But I did feel like I had to conduct myself in a certain way in high school because Shrine was right down the road, and if I knew that, like I said to someone, if I got into a fight with a student, whether I beat the student up or the student beat me, the news is going to start with either Femi Kuti beat up student or Femi Kuti's son was beating up by. So I was very conscious of it. But in Trinity, nobody is that aware of it. I think what we have is an industry that is self-made. So we have no support from any department to build ourselves. No schools teach music the way they should. Like I said, in my high school, and it's a good high school, it was a private high school, from secondary school, SS, you weren't allowed to do music anymore. So they don't treat it as an important art form. So what you have are people who have been deprived of a formal education in music that are now doing the best that they can with whatever access that they have. So it's a pop industry, very clearly, but it's a booming pop industry that is doing extremely well around the world, that is rivaling any other pop industry that I know of, right? Whiskey, Davido, massive. My issue is where the higher art is. So I don't see a development of the great saxophonist anymore, or the great percussionist. I don't see those musicians where they should be. And I don't see those composers where they should be. I don't see anyone writing for an African orchestra with 16 percussions and 50 saxophones. We have the musicians, but if you don't have that funding, and if you don't have that, it would take almost a miracle for everybody in that sector to come together and say, you know what, forget money, forget all of that. What we're going to try to do is make music for a progressive reason, not for money, not for fame. So I think that's what it is. I'm seeing a lot of materialistic approaches to music, but not one that is very intellectual. Don't come back to Nigeria. Many times. It was a test. That's what I found out. Because, frankly speaking, the kind of music that I play would do better in London. I'll be more stable in London. I'll probably get a better audience in London. And people are more interested in the conservative approach to Afrobeat outside of the country than they are inside. So he was looking at it from a point of lifestyle and just general stability. I would have been more stable outside. But my issue was, when I was younger, you always told me, you don't leave the country, right? If you're skilled in any department, what you should be doing is contributing to your community. So if you're a musician, develop your craft, become the best you can be, expose yourself, and then pass on that knowledge. So I couldn't understand why he suddenly changed his mind. So I kept saying, no, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm going to be as good as I can be. And eventually, it will contribute something positively to myself and to the identity of the Nigerian, of the African. He says, okay, come back. And then on stage, like the first week I was back, he says he was testing me to see whether or not but this test, it wasn't clear it was a test. He was saying, don't come back. There's nothing here in Nigeria for you. So, yeah, I'm glad I came back. Things have moved a lot more positively than I expected. Depends on how quickly the business side goes. Ideally next year. I'm the kind of person that looks inwards more than I look outwards. So when I think of the legacy, I think of what I can learn from it and what I can absorb from it. I don't see it as a challenge. Yeah, I wasn't raised that way. FIFA. He's very good at FIFA. He plays with the whole family, and whenever we have guests over. So I'm very good as well, as your team will find out soon. But when we have like drink parties and everything, the whole challenge is to try and beat him. Nobody does, except me. No, I had the freedom to do almost anything I wanted. The only thing that he was very clear on was values and morals. So if I wanted to smoke, I could smoke. But he said it's better to wait until you're 18, then you can decide for yourself. And I still haven't decided to. Simple. Never smoked. If you gave me a cigarette, I don't know how to even smoke it. We're very artistic people, so it wasn't a problem. Even now, she's fully supporting me. Beautiful and lovely. No, I'm still with the positive force, but the album is what I'm working on the most. The band will come naturally as the album is written. I'm paid the least in the band because I'm the newest member.
So there's nothing like, because you are my son.
That's what I was hoping, but no. No, there's a hierarchy to the band. The older you are a member, the more your salary. Older you are as a member, not in terms of age. It depends on the group of people you're talking about. When I was in Trinity, I didn't feel older than my age. I don't know. I haven't met enough people to make that decision. What do you think?
I feel you feel older than your age because a lot of people see you as a lord. You're supposed to be like our leader.
Oh, I don't know about that. But yeah. To relax, like this morning when I woke up, I watched a speech by Malcolm X. Do you know the ballot and the ballot or the bullet speech? I like those kinds of things. And I like some really nice drama series on Netflix. FIFA, teaching my siblings, playing with my siblings. That's my day really. I grew up in the shrine, so it's sort of natural for me. So in the shrine, everybody, because it's a huge staff, so you get used, and it's not just the shrine, it's the streets of shrine as well. So you get used to this feeling of being identified, not as you, but as someone related to something. I'm not yet Omorinmade Kuti. Omorinmade Kuti, Fela Kuti's grandson, Kuti. Someone, I kept thinking, and I can't find the feeling. I think if you put a lion in front of me, then maybe I'll be scared. I know I'll be scared for sure. But if you're talking philosophically, I don't have any fears like that. Maybe, yeah. When the person asked me, I said cockroaches. I hate cockroaches. But philosophically, in terms of my journey or my responsibilities, I don't have any of those. No fears. I was. Not anymore. Private reason. I don't know about that one. It's not a plan. I don't think. With her it was a plan, but since then I don't think about it. Career is of most importance. 2, 3, 4 years. 2 albums released, regular performances at the shrine, touring, and taking my first steps to putting a very nice Afrobeat orchestra together. I'm talking like 50 piece. If we look at the way we recycle our leaders, I'd say we're retrogressing, we're moving backwards. But it's not just Nigeria. I think globally, there's a whole massive issue with this. London and Brexit, Donald Trump and America. The right wing is developing, then you have the extreme left wing. I don't know, man. It's like a huge turn from what we expected the world to become from the early 21st century. So Nigeria is, I think, as a Nigerian, I focus on Nigeria the most. Politically, I think we're going backwards. Economically, it's the same thing. The only thing that seems to be progressing is the consciousness of the average Nigerian. But I don't see it being implemented in any way in society. The Kuti family. That question is hard because our identity has been changed drastically since my dad and Auntie Annie became the figureheads of the family. So back in the day, it was just waywardness that they expected from us. But now, things are looking a lot more positive. But you see, that's what one generation of people can do. Completely change the perspective of the family. So there's not really that much negative these days. I don't know. My favorite uncle or auntie? Auntie Wyken. Auntie Annie. I grew up with Auntie Annie. I grew up with her. I grew up with her and my dad. She is, till today, she's probably my top 3 supporters in music. Always there for me. But I can't describe what Auntie Wyken is. Like a mom. 5.
Whoa.
That's what I say. 5.
5, that's the drum, guitar.
Trumpet, saxophone. No, drums, bass guitar, trumpet, saxophone, and piano. That's
all of that you done?
No, Trinity was only composition. The instruments, I had a piano teacher, and then my dad taught me sax, and I've been working on that myself. I teach myself trumpet, and I teach myself drums. Bass guitar I taught myself as well. I didn't have a teacher. Better, yeah.
Angry. You have a resentment towards the status quo. You have a lot of questions that don't have answers. And you have, worst of all, people that still support the same people that did those things. So you're confused. So they say they love Fela, but they say they respect Obasanjo. I don't understand that kind of thinking. This tune? Oh, last time was Akalakuta. Now, sometime last year, late last year. I mean, no matter how great a man you are, you have to die eventually. Right? And that's the thing I was saying. A question that someone asked me recently was if I felt fear. And I said there was nothing scarier than death. Because some people believe that there's life after death, but I don't know. Right? And I think if you believe there's life after death, you shouldn't be scared of death. Because if you're going from earth to a better heaven, I think that's something to look forward to. But from my point of view, it's terrifying. But there's nothing scarier than knowing that I failed to do what I felt was necessary to guarantee my siblings or my children a better world than I grew up in. Because if we don't, then they will do the same thing, and generation after generation.
Yeah, but it's not like we're against it, if you understand. So, that Ballot of the Bullet speech by Malcolm X I was listening to in the morning, he says that he's a Muslim missionary. He's a Muslim minister. And that he starts naming all these Christian ministers as well, Dr. King and a few others. And he says, what matters is not the religion of the people that are speaking. What matters is that they are involved in the struggle. So he says that my Muslim beliefs are my personal beliefs. They should stay with me at home. And he says, as should the Christian ministers, whoever they may be. Because if we talk more about religion and our personal beliefs than we do the factual struggles that we face daily, then we'll never get to the real argument. So my problem with Christianity is not with Christianity itself, it's the way it's practiced sometimes. So it's like my dad said, where are the Christian leaders in terms of pushing this country in the right direction? Right? They have the money, they have the following. So I feel like the church has failed the country, and I feel it's not because of the religion. I think it's because of the people who are at the head of it practicing it.